12,000 feet over San Diego's breaking surf, a new breed of California risk-takers is hanging 10 on waves of air. Troy Hartman and Joe Jennings make skysurfing look easy. But what appears to be graceful floating is a high-speed plummet that leaves little margin for error.
Skysurfing is incredible in its own element. It is a totally different sport from skydiving. It is a totally different sport from surfing. There's no way to compare any of them.
Skysurfing is a competitive two-person sport, judged both on Troy's performance and Joe's free-fall camera work.
When you come out of the plane with the skysurfer, things begin to immediately move around the sky. And as a camera flyer, the more in tune you are with the skysurfer, the better you'll be able to stay with that person. Troy and I generally jump from about 12,500 feet. That's a little over, I think, 2 miles up in the sky. So that's about 10,000 feet of free fall, and that usually amounts to about a minute. That free fall time is pretty much what we consider our working time.
You're falling at 120 up to 200 miles per hour, and when that board is deflecting air at such a speed, you can create moves that are just amazing to watch, and the sensation is unbelievable too. If you're stretched out spinning and you're creating all that speed, and what happens is all the blood's being pushed to your head, and it can get so dramatic and so powerful that it'll literally blow the blood vessels out in my eyes.
To capture on film the risks Troy takes, his cameraman Joe must take his own.
As a camera flyer, it's your responsibility to aggressively go after the action. It's also your responsibility to not run over the skysurfer. And if you blow it and come in and hit them, if you hit them in the wrong place, it could be really ugly.
To minimize the danger in the California sky, they prepare meticulously on the ground. Any flaws must be worked out here, because 2 miles up, there is no second chance.
Troy and I dirt dive our routines on the ground before we go up in the air. At 150 miles an hour, things are happening so fast, there's just no way to rehearse it in the sky.
The dramatic moves of the skysurfer work in tandem with the subtle maneuvers of the cameraman.
When Troy is moving all over the sky, Joe is able to pan his body with little teeny finger moves and foot moves so that the camera moves smoothly and steadily as he's falling at 150 miles an hour.
Skysurfing's risks spark an adrenaline rush that starts pumping even before the jump. Something could always go wrong. Troy knows it can happen to the very best. Like his mentor and Joe's former partner, Rob Harris, the master of the sport.
He was really the only skysurfer in the United States that was just jamming along and just being innovative. And I think he liked working with me too, because he would see how hard I struggled to learn things that he had learned, and it kind of gave him a better feeling about all the time he had put in.
He had a real knack for moving his body.
I looked up to him not only as a skysurfer, but as a person. He amazed me. He amazed a lot of people.
On one fateful day in 1995, Rob Harris would demonstrate that even scintillating talent is no match for the unexpected. That day, the skydive he performed for a soft drink commercial in British Columbia went terribly wrong. Somehow the lines of his chute tangled, and his reserve failed to open in time. He was 28 years old.
It was shocking, just absolutely shocking, and I just could not digest that thought that Rob Harris could die. He was almost immortal to me.
The high-flying spirit of Rob Harris lives on in Troy Hartman, and as he redefines skysurfing's possibilities, his partner Joe is breaking new ground in aerial photography, working with MacGillivray to create a high-flying IMAX sequence.
I watched a lot of videotape shot by freefall cameramen, and the footage that Joe Jennings had done was the best I'd seen. And when I said, okay, I want you to wear a giant IMAX style camera on your chest and to free fall and frame Troy Hartman perfectly in the sweet spot of the frame, he said, well, I think I can do that.
Accustomed to smaller helmet-mounted cameras, Joe is prepared to reinvent his style to accommodate the bulky IMAX equipment and its added weight. Later, watching the images he shot projected on an 80-foot-tall IMAX screen gave Joe an even greater love for his sport.
When I stop and think about how lucky I am to be doing what I really love to do and what I feel passionate about, and I think it's that passion that I've been blessed with that has driven me to push cinematography and skydiving to new levels.
Like Joe, Troy believes the risk they take is a fair price to pay for the reward.
I'm always balancing what I get out of the sport versus what I could lose from being in the sport. I've not yet come to a point where I feel like I need to give it up for anything else. Once you're on top of that board, boom, everything else goes out the window because it's a whole different sport and it's a rush.
Skysurfers have one safety precaution that a special team of risk takers in San Francisco does not: parachutes. When we return, ironworkers perched 70 stories up battle fog and high winds to preserve one of California's most impressive landmarks.